scar. I mean, every fencer has got to have a facial scar. So we introduced ourselves, and he said, no, we have no place for women here at the academy. And we said, well, we would really like to take lessons. And we fenced at our college back in Denver. We're not rank beginners. He says, we have no place for women here. And Tita was not to be said no. So finally, she just argued him down to, well, after everyone had left the academy at the end of the day, he would train the two of us. And I am sure that he was intent upon scaring us to death so that we would never come back. He kept us in the en garde position in this deep crouch for about 45 minutes. Our legs were quivering. We could hardly get on the streetcar to go home. But we stayed and took as many lessons as the budget allowed. Great experience. Then we came home to find ourselves at the top of the pecking order back here on campus as seniors who had completed a very exciting year in Europe, done things that nobody else had done. Our opinions and experiences were sought by our faculty and our advisors when we came back. We were able to do so many independent things to empower ourselves through full use of the resources of this campus, graduating in 1968 fully convinced that anything we could conceive in our imaginations we could make happen in our lives.
I'm Julie Davey from the class of 1964, CWC, Colorado Women's College at that time. I went from Colorado Springs to CWC as a little bit of a cowgirl. I rode horses and I dated cowboys, and I wasn't finished, as they say. So this was kind of a finishing school. It taught us good manners, how to speak in public and that sort of thing, and really how to be women, not girls, but women who could make a difference in the world. The biggest memory that I have was, besides being the editor of the newspaper, there was a class called Techniques of Community Service, and we were required to take that course, and it involved taking girls from the school, women from the school, and driving down to one of the probably worst parts of Denver, and we were to help little kids who were really poor and who could not really even get a good meal. And we fed them, we cooked for them, we taught them good hygiene, and we just loved them. And I didn't really know what I was getting in for, but that experience at CWC really changed my life. First, on the writing side, I did become a journalism teacher and a journalist, and I've written 3 books. But on that, I have felt that you always give back, and you give back as much as you can in the way that you can. And I think that is the spirit of CWC and TWC. I think it's giving back and being yourself, your best self. So I look back and I look at that little class that we were required to take, and at the time we were grumbling about it, and say it did make a difference. And I think CWC, the Women's College at DU, and all of the alums for keeping the spirit alive. Thank you.
I'm Margie Uren Condor. I went to CWC first in the fall of 1947, right out of high school. Long way from home. I'm an Arizona native, and coming to Colorado was just a real thrill for me to see this Colorado for the first time. I came to CWC because I think even back in 1947, I knew that I wanted to be considered for my skills and talents rather than for being just another girl in a college where the boys got all of the big jobs. So even back then, I think this is one reason I chose to go to a women's college. And I was able to have lots of fun at CWC, but also worked hard. I was the valedictorian, I guess, of my graduating class in 1949. It was a 2-year school then. And I finished then right here at DU, got my degree in English and with a minor in journalism, and got my teaching certificate here at DU. But I was very involved in this Western Graphic, which is a school newspaper in CWC, and was the editor of the Graphic my senior year, senior being the sophomores who were the upperclassmen in that 2-year school. But CWC helped me grow up. It made me a stronger, more independent woman. It gave me the strength to go out and face the world, I guess, is in a way that perhaps I would not have if I had not gone to a women's college. I think it made lots of wonderful friends. Still keep up with my college roommate, who was unable to come to this reunion but has come to other reunions. We've always roomed together and shared old times. But one of my classmates in 1990, I guess it was, I came to one of the early reunions that we had, and she recruited me to go on the board of the Alumni Association. So I served on the board for 3 years, put out 3 issues of the Western Graphic each year. I was on the board, and which it was very valuable for the alumni to know what's going on and to keep us together. And so I really had fun doing that, but it was a lot of work. And so when my 3-year term was up, I went off the board. But to still have many friends here today, even whom I met through my board work. And I was on the board when we did the reunion in 2000. So now it's kind of nice to sit back and let somebody else do it. So, but CWC was a very important part of my life, and I credit it with giving me the background that I needed to become a mature and independent woman.
My name's Carla Ely McKennett, and I attended CWC from 1956 to 1958. And I came from a small town in Kansas, but my family moved to Denver, and so I was a day student. And I came on a scholarship. They had come to my little town in Kansas, and they were recruiting, and so I came to Colorado Women's College. And I've been grateful for that ever since, because I came from a town of 1,200, and my graduating high school class was 36. And so CWC was a great cushion between going to a big college, and it gave me a footing to get my grades and to study, and it was a big help to me. But during those years, we belonged to different organizations, and one of them was the Student Council. It wasn't called council. I've forgotten now what that organization was called. But we had to be hostesses at the Friday night dances. And we took turns. We were on a schedule, and so if it were the third Friday night of the month, then you knew you were supposed to be a hostess for the dance. I did not like doing that, but it was something that was required for that organization, a service kind of thing. So I went faithfully the whole first year that I was there, 56, 57, and started again in 57. And one Friday night, I met this young man, and he was from DU, and he kind of just hung around. And at the end of that night, he asked me for my phone number. And I didn't usually give my phone number. We had a lot of fellows who were from Lowry Air Force Base, and so I didn't like to give my numbers, but he was different, and so I did give him my number. And about a week later, he called me, And so we started seeing each other, and by the time spring of '58 came, we were very interested in each other. And we got married in 1958 in the end of August. And so then I didn't go to another school. I had only 2 years. It was an associate degree. And my parents were not happy about that. But he was graduating from DU. He was a business graduate, and he had a position in San Rafael, California. So we had our wedding, and we traveled with the trailer across the country and settled in San Anselmo. And he started his job, and I got a job with Bank of America. And so we were there for 2 years, and then I had a baby, and we came back to Denver then, and I had another baby, and then after 12 years I went back to DU. And I got my degree, and when my children were, my youngest child was in the 2nd grade, I started teaching. And then I taught for 25 years. And I'm a widow now, and I just met the nicest guy at that Friday night dance. And we had such a happy life together. And so CWC means a lot to me besides that, but it's special to me because of that.
I'm Carol Rathke. I went to CWC in 1956 to 1958. I was a Denver student and went back and forth each day. In October of my freshman year, my parents went to Hawaii for their anniversary. It was cold then, and when they came back, they brought me thong sandals, leather ones with silver, and they were beautiful, and we didn't wear things like that then. And of course CWC was under very strict dress code, and with skirts, and I was crossing campus. I had worn them to school when I got back from Hawaii, and one of the professors stopped me and said, "Miss Rathke, that's inappropriate dress." And so you will have to go over to Dean Mass. So I went over to the dean's office, and she said, "What did you do, Carol?" And I said, "Well, I wore thong sandals to school." And she said, "That's inappropriate dress, honey. I'm sorry, you just can't do that." She said, "Don't wear them anymore." And she said, "You're excused." Well, when I went home, my father was very strict in Germany, and he said, "Well, I guess you learned that lesson." And so we just were comparing with some of the girls that were graduated in the 70s, and they said, "How did you live under such restricted rules?" And they were saying how they could sign boys in and have them in the dorm. And I said, "My father wouldn't even let me have gone there if they did that." And so we were just talking about the difference between the campus and what we were under. And we wore hats and gloves to everything. And when they had like the presidents, you always went to President's Tea, you had to have hats and gloves. And being a Denver student, I had to go home to change and stuff because we didn't have adequate room for us to all do that. And so I would race home in my car and change my clothes and get back at school for the dinners because you had to be dressed properly. Mm-hmm. And so that it's just a comparison, and this is just kind of a little bit of insight to what we had from what the kids do today particularly. And I mean, they wear anything anywhere. So that's all. I just wanted to share that.
Hi, I'm Dorcas Gertner Evans, class of 1958. When I lived in Denver Club, or I lived at home, so I was part of Denver Club, D Club. When we got to our sophomore year, there had not ever been any college choir tours that we knew of. So